Evening, everybody. How's it going? Comic Crack. A few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, I placed an order to Domino Books, and there was a couple of things at that time that Austin didn't have in stock. So he said he'd send them out to me when they got into the shop. I kind of dropped him a note and said, let me know before you do, and maybe I'll grab a couple other things just to make it worthwhile. Instead of shipping just 2 books, make it worthwhile and ship a couple extra books at the same time. So those came today, and I've read 4 out of the 5 books already. And I figured, I'm in the mood to chat. It's 10 o'clock at night. We may as well have a look at them. So if you don't know Domino Books, which I think most of you do by this point, you can check them out, and you really should check them out too. dominobooks.org. And then they have wholesale for retailers as well too. So he's doing a thing these days, if you follow him on Twitter. I think he said once a week he's going to put a couple of I think 4 classic underground comics up on the Domino Books webpage. Today, one of the books was the book Light, which I've talked about here a couple of times. It's one of my favorites. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and apparently it got snatched up in about 5 minutes. And he seemed to be saying that he just has in a collection of some amazing underground comics. So I'm going to be paying attention to that to see what kind of things hit his shop. See if I can fill in some gaps in my collection there. So yeah, check him out. Check out the site. Definitely worth your time. He does a really good job of putting up some samples as well too. So when you click on the book, it'll give you some information, pricing, etc. And then usually there's a sample or 2 of some of the interior artwork, which is great because there's a lot of names on the site that I'm just not familiar with. So that helps. One of the things, I don't remember if I ordered this or not. I don't think, maybe I did. I don't remember. Anyway, issue 5 of Strangers. A super thick 86-page oversized special. Ken Landgraf, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did order it actually. Alexis Zarit and Dave Barker on Night Hunters, Kate LaCour, Megan Turbett, and Nate McDonough on Pennsylvania's comic scene, comics, articles, reviews, and more. I have the first couple of issues of Strangers. I didn't follow it anything beyond. It's the same with Bubbles. I have a bunch of the Bubbles stuff, but only went so far with it. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that? That looks like it's maybe some. Oh no, it's not. Adam Falp. It had a very Zarit kind of look to it. So in the days now of print fanzines coming back for a minute or two, I think these are well worth your time, well worth checking out. I haven't read every single thing that I have cover to cover. I've kind of dipped my toes in here and there. Always interested in this. Yeah, Tom Neely's back doing this. This was a great, it's in some of the other Strangers as well. I don't remember if it's in every single one, but he does, it came from the Dollar Bin, and this is volume 5. So yeah, there you go. So he's done it every single issue. Just highlights some books that he's found for $1, which I think is such a phenomenal idea. Oh, Hex Pillar, how the heck are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see your name pop up in the chat. Oh, hey, look at that. Nate Garcia in here with Alonzo Sneak. We're going to be talking about that right away. Oh, that's amazing. So well worth your time. Yeah, this Grixley. Yeah, a lot of names just keep coming up in various other spots. Oh, sorry about that. In various other spots in my social media. So it's great to see them pop up here as well too. So really, really great stuff. Articles and comics. If you don't know Strangers, check it out. We've talked about Strangers before. because Strangers also does some publishing as well too. So this is the one we talked about before, but I haven't tucked into this one yet. I'm going to sit and probably read a little bit of that. So the ones I wanted to talk about, these next four, I read all of them tonight. And I first thing I'm going to say is I thoroughly enjoyed every single thing that I read. One of the realizations that I think I came to in reading this, because something that happened with the previous stack of books, nothing really engaged me. And I think that I'm definitely finding my threshold for kind of alternative, experimental comics. Maybe I absolutely have a line, because some of the stuff that I got from him last time, it just didn't resonate with me. I didn't get much out of it, to be honest. This stuff is absolutely a lot closer to kind of, quote unquote, average everyday comics. There's not as much experimental stuff happening in this. So I think I can't take that last step yet. So I'm really, really glad to have this stack, because everything here was really enjoyable. So Eric Haven has done a number of these Tales to Demolish, a few issues anyway. Somebody was posting, I can't remember if it was issue 3 or 5 they posted, that they said it didn't really do anything for them at that point. I really like this quick little peek. Nice short story. So 2003, this comic is dedicated with awe and respect to Jack Kirby. So obviously definitely giving a nudge in his creation of this comic. I love the art in here. I really love the panel layout. So strange variations in the Earth's orbit have resulted in periodic glacial epochs. Only 20,000 years ago, much of North America was buried beneath a sheet of ice more than a mile thick. Human civilization sprung up after the last glaciation. Will it survive the next? And I mean, look at these pages here. Beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I love it so much. And that background, just I mean, I hate to use the word simple, because nothing is simple, but just a very basic kind of hatching there that has a really great effect, and the use of all that white space on the page, and our main character. A glaciologist. It's his job to study glaciers. So there's a fracture, I guess, and he's going to investigate. And obviously he's part of a bigger team that he talks to as he's walking along the path here, telling them to go and he'll be good. He'll meet them in 12 hours. And we just kind of follow him as he's exploring the terrain. But me and Winter and glacial and white kind of comics I absolutely love, like Snow. He does his Northern Lights in a couple of pages here. There's some real William Cardini stuff going on here with these glaciers as well too. So, and then of course we get a crack there as well. Yeah, this was a beautiful book to look through. Really, really great. So I may try another one of these. So it was a good start. This was the first thing that I read, and it was a really great start into today's stack. I won't go any farther than this, the halfway mark. But there you go. So that is Tales to Demolish by Eric Haven. And Spark Plug Comic Books, which I've got to remember to check out as well. Have a look at that website. The next one that kind of took me by surprise here. So there's 2 issues of this that he's got on his site, this Department of Art. This is issue number 1. I love the samples. These covers really jumped out at me. And I love the samples that he showed. This was really great as well, actually. Hexpillar, I love the Department of Art. Yeah, I really enjoyed this as well. Again, it was one of those things, just giving it a chance. And as soon as I finished reading it, I was disappointed that I didn't just bite the bullet and order both issues at once. because I'm curious where this goes. So from, a little bit about the creative process, but with a literal representation of someone working in a department that just has to produce art in this labyrinth type office, and people hollering at them to go do art. Let's go. Yes. And he's trying to focus. And it just kind of goes from there. I wish strangers and bubbles would start beefing. Sorry, I missed that comment earlier there. Yeah. Have a good old fashioned war of words back and forth. Love Department of Art. It'll throw you into some moods. Yeah, it's so this struggle of kind of focusing and creating is very much at the forefront here. As our main character is really struggling to just remain focused, while these little critters kind of peek over the wall at him and start infiltrating his space, and he's trying to get them to go away. The art and the layouts in this, I think, are really gorgeous. And again, about kind of adding to the mood. There's something to be said about creating comics and using the very basic, Marvel, DC kind of language to tell stories and what you can do with that. But the thing that's fascinating about this stuff is the individual styles really end up adding such another dimension to the comics themselves. So you start feeling it even more. Everything that's happening on the page, like even small, again, I'm going to use some bad words here. I don't mean it to sound like the way it might sound, because it's not small by any stretch. Someone thought about this. I love this kind of thing of sitting and stirring in this hyper focus that it kind of brings to you, like your eye is kind of drawn to that as you're reading through it. So he meets with a couple of, I guess, friends of his who also work in the department, and they have a brief conversation before he takes off. I won't go too much farther with showing you stuff, but needless to say, this one was really enjoyable. Like I said, I really regret not buying the second issue right away. I'll show you a couple other samples here. Here we go. I like this page quite a bit too. And lettering being very unique to the individual artist, that's always fun as well, without doing that very polished comic lettering. And this, all the thanks and stuff at the back, beautiful. Yeah, so I'm gonna grab number 2. There's no doubt in my mind. Another really good recommendation. So this was the second book that I read, so it was really on and up. We're going to do a little bit of a reverse. We're going to go to the last book that I read, Alonzo Sneak. This cover has jumped out at me. I've seen it listed on the Domino site and elsewhere a number of times, and it's always jumped out at me. So I finally bit the bullet and grabbed it, and I'm super glad that I did. This one was a lot of fun, sort of comedic, very cartoony language in here, but so much fun. Everything about it, the kind of the front piece with his social media. This is the second edition from December of 2021 by Nate Garcia, giving all the thanks there. And then jumping right into it with a great opening panel of our character in a very dynamic pose. So one of the stretch and squish of this comic, I guess, and the figures, and there's another crack there for you. The stretch and the squish of the figures was very entertaining. Hello, Colin. Hey there, I just read Alonzo Sneak today and his new one, Muscle Horse. Yes, I was looking on his website, and I'm probably going to try to grab that Muscle Horse next. What was this one? Was 40, 60 pages, and I think Muscle Horse is like 80 pages or something. Isn't that right, Colin? It seems like a really beefy book. I was hoping to get his Horn Rim comics that this Alonzo sneak first appeared in, and see more of his stuff. But on his website, they were sold out, or he was sold out of the where you could get all the. I think is there 3 or 4 issues? I don't remember. Anyway, so the very cartoony language in here, really enjoyable. Great use of pages and panels, and a cowboy and his horse. Very, very basically is the premise here, and just what happens to them throughout the day. But there's some real Pete Bagg line work here for sure. Really reminds me of Neat Stuff and Hate and all that. So not thematic wise, just purely just in an art wise. Yeah, I mean, look at that. It's beautiful stuff. Really great. What does it say at the back? 19 years old. Is that what it said? Yeah, Nate Garcia, 19-year-old cartoonist living and working amongst the mice, roaches, and black mold in his West Philly apartment. And you can buy his books at nategarcia.bigcartel.com. And then for this edition too, in the back, so the second edition, I guess when it first got published, some of this work first got published in France. There was a Cowboy Hank that was included with it as well. So for the second edition here, it gets reprinted on the inside back cover. So that's a bonus. We've talked to Cowboy Hank before. Yeah, so I really like this. This was a really nice book to end on. You know, great stuff. Oddball characters. I think they're about the same length, but Muscle Horse has nicer production, feels more substantial. Amazing. Yeah, really great. Really, really great. And finally, the one that kind of surprisingly blew me away, to be honest. Crooked Teeth #7. This was so fucking good. Nate Doyle is the creator's name here. So it's Blood and Thunder Part 2, multi-part story. I think only issue 8, only 8 issues have come out so far. So yeah, this blood and everything in this book surprised me at how much I liked it. Again, it was one of those, the cover intrigued me. The interior art looked really great, but I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was. And that's, I don't mean to bash anybody else who does independent or alternative comics by any stretch, but the writing I thought was really great in here. So we open up, this is our kind of main feature, this Blood and Thunder. We open up with a little bit of a recap of what happened the previous issue. And once I figured out what this was, a beautiful way to present a recap just in some panels, some that connect together and some that are kind of jumps in time. I thought that was really nice. So our two kind of main characters are on the road running away from the big bad guys, and kind of getting high and talking and trying to relax. And we kind of get a little bit of backstory with the woman that's in the car. Miriam is her name. And we get a backstory of her and a gang that she was in, and the problems that happened, because this is kind of the situation they're currently in and running from is bringing back a lot of memories for her, and she's kind of reliving her past, and it's making her nauseous. So there's this energy and everything in this kind of intensity with the story. And again, it's another great example of the art mimicking that really, really well and making it more intense, because there was times where it was a little difficult to follow what was being said or where you were supposed to read, almost a little difficult to make out some backgrounds and stuff. The text really helps. Like this is, I mean, seeing it on camera, you can see it a little better, but that's somebody's face underwater looking up at you. So all of that stuff in this story, as these intense moments are being relived, really add to the sense of unease, you know, while you're reading it. This really just has such a lot going for it, this story, that I really hope that this turns into a really long series that then gets collected on its own. It just has that it has something to it. You know, there's something more going on here that I really want to see explored in great detail. Yeah, I mean, you know my channel. I end up raving about a lot of stuff, but honestly, this is the one for me. So I would try to get it. So that takes us just a little bit probably about the halfway mark. Yeah, just a little over the halfway mark. And then we get some other shorter autobio kind of comics and some art. So this one is kind of talking about, it's called Heavy Drinking. And it's about his time when he was really into, he was just really in the depths of what looks like alcoholism and drug addiction, and kind of thinking back on it. And then the final story was a story about when he was on tour with a band and the trouble that they got into one particular night. I loved this one so much. And again, it's the density of the page and not really knowing what you're looking at as the characters get even more intoxicated and violence ensues. Again, it really adds to that quite a bit. So such an enjoyable book. Crooked Teeth #7 is this one. I think the first one is he's saying in the inside. I believe the first issue came out like 10 years ago or something like that. So, because he's talking a little bit about going back and seeing. Welcome to the 7th issue. It's been over a decade since the first issue spouted out of a scammed photocopier back in 2007. Okay, so 2007. This particular issue was from 2018. Was this a reprint too? Yeah, this is the third printing from summer 2020. Yeah, I'm into this in a big way. I enjoyed everything that I read, but this one I'm really, really into. I need another issue. I need to get issue 8, and I need to try to hunt down issue #6. I want more of this stuff for sure. So Nate Doyle is the name there. So that's it. Just a short one tonight, just to kind of talk about these suckers. Thanks very much, everybody, for hanging out and tuning in. And we'll talk to you.